Hi, everyone. Welcome to Radical Age Reversal. We're going to bring in our Win Women audience in just a moment and get started. We are in the book 30 Days, 30% Happier in 30 Days. So here we go. Welcome, Win Women audience and our YouTube audience. We're so glad that you're here. I'm Carrie Donegan, your host. This is Radical Age Reversal, and we are in the book 30% Happier in 30 Days. I hope you're loving this book as much as I am. I hope by now you've gotten yourself a copy, whether you've purchased it or gotten it from the library. It doesn't matter. I just hope this is something that's enriching your life and actually helping you to stay happy, healthier, longer, right? So longevity is our goal. Everything we do here on the show has to do with making your life health span longer, health span, not just lifespan, right? More richness in the years that you live on the planet, because every day is a gift, as we know. So today we're going to Hygge. I've heard it say different ways, but I did look up some of the etymology of this word, Hygge. It came into prominence in the English language in about 2016. In fact, it was in the short list for word of the year. It is a borrowed word or a loan word in English, and it comes from actually a concept that has been really embraced in Denmark. And we're going to talk about what that concept is. But we also should know that actually it is a loan word in Denmark from Norwegian. So we have to give a nod to the Norwegians for this word and this concept. Now, the Danes have embraced it and made it part of their national identity, the way Americans take on freedom and democracy as part of our national identity. So this is of prominence and importance. So it's something that it's important for us to realize. And when we look at Scandinavian countries from the United States, I think sometimes we have a very romantic view of their lifestyle. And a lot of it is, of course, warranted. Nothing is perfect. But we have to look at other cultures from time to time and ask ourselves, is there something that we could be doing that would improve the quality of our life? What are other people doing to bring joy? Now, remember, happiness is fleeting, but joy is something that can be consistent, and it's rooted in a sense of peace and grounding. And we love to use our essential oils for that. And in fact, doTERRA has created a Hygge blend. It is a limited offering. It doesn't exist in the standard catalog, but if you keep your eye out from time to time, it will come into the limited time offering and you can buy it. So I believe, I have a premonition in the next couple of months, we may see this oil reappear, but I purchased a few last year. And now that it's fall, I like to bring this back into my lifestyle. Not that you can't do it in the summer, but maybe there are other lifestyles that you can embrace, things that come from warmer climates. But as the weather gets cooler and the leaves on the trees start to change, and you just feel that sense of wanting to sleep in longer, spend time with friends, drink warm drinks. Like for me, Hygge is a nice cup of tea. And I love this mug. I love this pattern. I think it's so fun. I am a uh, big lover of Chinese culture. And so anytime I can have something that infuses my life with Chinese culture, then it brings me a sense of peace and brings me a sense of contentment. One of my Hygges are watching Chinese dramas on streaming. So like everybody has their thing. I also love to read. I surround myself with books. I don't know if you can see over here, I've actually created these really cool plant stands out of some of my favorite books. And one of the things I love about this is that since I live in a very small space, I have this kind of little office area that I use. And instead of having a bookshelf, which I feel is kind of cold, I try to infuse my other Hygge, which is to be surrounded by plants. And so this way I can see my books, I can see my plants. It's constantly drawing my attention to them. And it's a great area for me also to spend some time in quiet prayer, to read. These are things that bring me a lot of peace. So I want to know from you, what brings you peace? Put it in the comments section if you would. What are your favorite hygge activities, whether it's in the fall and winter or in all year round, right? I am one person who drinks hot tea all year round. I've never been an iced tea lover. I love that warmth, even in the summertime. So the cozy blend, let's try to figure out what would be a fun way to do this. And so I got out one of my favorite diffusers, and it's over here next to one of my orchids. So you can't see it today because of the way the camera is angled, but I had been saving this little guy for a while. I bought some of these during the holiday season last year, and I had one left. And I thought, you know what? It's time to hygge, and I'm going to pull this guy out because I love its bright, shiny red color. And I think it's just perfect for this time of year. So I plugged it in. It has a little adapter in the back, and then it has two settings, normal and high. So you turn this little guy upside down. His name is Bubble, and you just put the bottle in just the way it is. You leave the regulator on. So now I have my hygge in a bubble. I'm going to turn it upside down. And if this works, let's see, I'm going to put it on normal. There it is. Look at it, it's working. I love that. And if I want to put it on high, I'll flip it. And you get more of a burst. Oh, I love that. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to put it back to normal. And what's nice is it's motion censored. So when you walk by it, you'll get a little blast of the hygge. Okay, what a wonderful way to set a mood and to start with our chapter today. So, one of the things that you can do is kind of cozy up in your chair, get yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and let's read this chapter together. So, don't worry, be hygge. According to the annual World Happiness Report, Denmark consistently ranks among the top 2 or 3 happiest countries in the world. Are the Danes so happy because their tuition for education and healthcare are free, or because crime and political corruption in their country is relatively low? Or simply Danish hygge? Hygge, pronounced huga, can be loosely translated to cozy contentment and relates to a subtle but perceptive ambience or quality of coziness. Appropriate to Denmark's dismal North Sea climate, and 17 hours of daily darkness in the winter, hygge is about hankering down and getting snug, perhaps in your jammies when it's dark and cold outside. Wintertime is when the Danes light candles, build wood fires, and bring out the warm blankets and fuzzy slippers. To show you how much hygge is part of the Danish mindset, it's the root of 3 everyday words: hyggekrog, or reading nooks, hygge bungster, or comfortable pants, and hygge sokker, or woolen socks. Danes like to plan hyggeling evenings that involve cooking together, gathering around the table for a hearty meal, and then clearing the plates and silverware and bringing out board games. While one can curl up by herself when rain is pelting on the roof and binge watching a TV series, hygge is heightened by gathering casually with friends, perhaps in a cozy cabin nestled in the woods surrounded by snowdrifts. Hygge helps people appreciate the things that matter most in life. The word originates from the 16th century Norwegian term hygge, which means to comfort and console. It's where we get the word hug. A hygge craze took root around 2016 here in the US, spawning by nearly 24 books about getting in touch with your inner Dane and taking pleasure in the presence of gentle, soothing things like a cup of tea, a weighted blanket, says Helen Russell, a British journalist who wrote The Year of Living Danishly. The most well-known printed work is The Little Book of Hygge by Micah Wilking, which was released in the US in 2017 after being a big hit in England, where Oxford Dictionaries named Hygge one of the top 10 new words for that year. Reviewers favorably compared the book to Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. From Maine to Malta to Mauritius, Hygge spurned a worldwide run on pillar candles and fuzzy blankets. Wiking shared a typical story about Hygge when she hung out in a woodsy cabin with friends on Christmas Day. After a long walk through the snow, everyone returned to the rustic hut, where they gathered around a roaring fireplace, wearing thick sweaters and woolen socks, enjoying mulled wine. At the same time, they watched the crackling fire, reminiscent about Christmases past. One of Wilking's friends, caught up in the moment, said, "Could this be any more Hygge?" Everyone nodded in agreement until one woman said, "Yes, if a storm were raging outside." This reminds me of a joke we have in Newport Beach about Christmas Day. Let's turn on the air conditioning so we can light a fire. Fortunately, Hygge is not reserved for Old Man Winter and 10-foot high piles of snow. Experience Hygge wherever you are at any time of the year. Here are 5 ways you can feel happier with Hygge. Number 1, light several candles in the house. Eating dinner by candlelight adds a layer of warmth, personality, and different luminescence to your dining table. Try to use a good mixture of non-toxic scented and unscented candles. Drink warm, indulgent beverages like hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate, but the traditional form of this sweet treat does not love me back. Typically, hot chocolate is full of sugar, bad fats, and low quality chocolate. Yuck. I decided to do a quick recipe rehab for the brain healthy version that tastes just as good or even better than the stuff you buy in the store. And it makes you feel good too. Here's how I make it. I start with organic raw cacao powder that has no sugar. Real cacao is a superfood and a powerful antioxidant that acts as a natural mood booster. I use about 1 teaspoon of cacao and add it to about 16 ounces of warm almond milk that is organic, unsweetened, and vanilla flavored. Next, I add a few drops of chocolate flavored stevia and stir it really well. Then for the pièce de la résistance, I use almond milk whipped cream that only has 1 gram of sugar. So it's so delicious and it puts me in a great mood in the evening right before bedtime. What a happy way to end the day. Curl up on the couch with a good book and your shoes off. Put the electric devices away. Take a walk in nature, away from the crowds, through local mountains, along a lakeshore, or on a beach. Invite friends over for a nice dinner. Dinner parties were rare supply during the pandemic. Get back in the habit of gathering with friends again. Share the cooking responsibilities and experience Hygge. So what are you waiting for? Get Hygge. All right. I love that. I love that. And I know it's a simple chapter, but one of the things we can do on days where our chapters are short is to take on, as I love to always do, an assignment, because learning something is wonderful, but putting it into practice is magic. And the magic is what causes us to live a long health span. It allows us to get younger as we age in our lifespan. So let those years carry you forward, but your body and your brain and your mind and your joy and your sense of contentment do not have to deteriorate. In fact, they can inflate, they can increase, and they become a wonderful way to live your life. So there's a couple of things that we can do today. Number 1, sometimes I think it's really good to take stock, especially in the fall when people tend to sort of rev up after the summer months. If you're going into a period of high activity, ask yourself, is this how I want to be spending my time, my talent, and my treasure? Is this where I should be? And it can only take, for some people, maybe it's a matter of a 15-minute reflection every day. And if you have longer, maybe you could spend a half an hour with a notebook or a journal and just start writing things down. Remember, the idea of a fulfilled life is not necessarily an easy life without struggle. The idea of a fulfilled life is one where you meet challenges where you feel you are called to be. And the only way we know we're called to be in an area of challenge is if we can take some time and listen. One of the things I love to do is I meet with two very dear friends and sometimes more, but always these really amazing women every Saturday morning. And we meet in a chapel and we take a reading from the Bible and we spend time reading it, thinking about it, contemplating it. Because of our faith, it enriches our time together. But even if this is not your practice, even this is not something that you're familiar with, or your faith is different, it doesn't matter. Being able to have a set time once a week to gather with friends, this is what Hygge is. It allows us to be human with one another, not in a workspace, not in a family function space, not even in an interaction with stranger space. And all of that is really important and good. But you want to make sure that you have this special time in your life. If you can do it in person, that's great. If you have to do it online, that would be the next best thing. But the idea is to have time in your day to actually contemplate, if not to sound a little bit too woo woo, the meaning of life. And more importantly, the meaning of your life, because you are here right now for a reason, on purpose. You were created on purpose. And so you want to live a purpose driven life. We know that wonderful book that was written now, I think, a few years ago. But it is important for us to have that sense of purpose. And we have to stop and we have to listen. And one of the things that we do when we wrap up our discussion on Saturday mornings is to ask each other, how are you going to put into practice what we've talked about today? What have you learned? What's touching your heart? Where are you going to find greater meaning in your life? I know, and in talking to these women, I know they too cherish those moments, maybe something as when life is difficult during the week, there is this sense of Saturday is coming, right? And if you can create these little hygge moments in your family life, that is super important too. Make sure that when you're sitting at the dinner table, there is a sense of warmth and coziness, right? Don't try not to eat every meal in the car. Although my family and I, we were guilty of that when sports season was going crazy. And there was a lot of activities which brought a lot of joy into my children's lives. And I know they look back on now with great, great fondness and also created some really good life skills. So I am not saying don't do the activities. I'm just asking you to also be, if this word is overused, I apologize, be mindful of spending some time connecting and really, really being able to talk and experiencing one another. It's so very important. All right, we've come to the end of our show today. Thank you so much for your time. You bring so much meaning into my life. I truly want to know how you're going to put these hygge practices into your life. Do you like this lifestyle or is it not for you? Tell me that too. Share your thoughts. I'm truly interested in hearing about them. I wish you a blessed week and look forward to seeing you all next week. Live a long, happy, healthy lifespan.